I am your host, Christene Marie. Y'all, for those of you new, welcome. We are pretty active on YouTube, particularly in the chapel. I missed the chapel. I guess we are kind of like a chapel in the mornings. In the chat on YouTube, we are very, very active. And I welcome you to come and join us over here if you are tuning in elsewhere. But for the reason and intent of the show, our goal every day is to cultivate the human intelligence. And there's 4 intelligences that each show targets. Each show targets different ones, but for the most part, the intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and physical intelligence. Each one has a really special place for us as the human being. And so often what happens is that we've over-cultivated one or another, or maybe 2 out of the 4. And then when we come into engage in conflict, or when we go in to make a really important business decision, when we go to make a life decision, like who is your partner or raising your children, you are not activating all intelligences. And the way that I think about it is that each one is like bringing a board member into the room, and each one has data, each one has things to tell us should we so choose to listen. And this is why it is so incredibly important for us to learn how to listen and tune in to each one of these intelligences, because otherwise we're operating at a fraction of our fullest capability. Now, none of these intelligences are the ones that make the decisions, but they are informants. They add to the voice of wisdom, and then we ourselves make the choice from there on. So this is kind of the heartbeat of the show. And again, different shows will speak to different intelligences and the cultivation thereof. So on the morning shows, we review A Course in Miracles. And this book was written, a decent amount of years ago, I believe 30 years ago. I need to go confirm. But it's a thick textbook. It's incredibly dense. But they have a workbook on the other side of it with a daily lesson for each day of the year, 365. So we are grateful and blessed to move through this together. And I say grateful because truly I started doing this for myself and then decided to go live and share it with whoever tunes in. And then blessed because this is such an incredibly meaningful opportunity every single morning to gather together. And that's why I said, I guess we are a little bit like a chapel. We gather together to remind ourselves of what's true. Because in the face of social media, in the face of how we feel, in the face of all of the past and how much that can corrode what we see in the present moment, it is so important that we, with intention, kind of take a step back and examine what's more true than what right here, right now. And here's the thing that's so cool, and we're about to dive into today's lesson. Even now, I actually had something come up for me last night, and I'm kind of bringing it with me this morning. And this show is precisely why we do it, because it is our time for us to process what are we bringing from just yesterday into today. How is that clouding my right here, right now? So even now, as we're gathering, I'm just so grateful for the time to be together. What a rich blessing this is. Rob Vine, I'm so glad to see you. Hello, good to see you. We're going to jump in right now. We are going to just start with a few review lessons, and then we're going to dive into today's lesson 127 together. Lesson 121, forgiveness is the key to happiness. Lesson 122, forgiveness offers everything I want. Lesson 123, I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Lesson 124, let me remember I am one with God. Lesson 125, in quiet I receive God's word today. Lesson 126, all that I give is given to myself. Lesson 127, there is no love but God's. Perhaps you think that different kinds of love are possible. Perhaps you think there is a kind of love for this, a kind for that, a way of loving one, another way of loving still another. Love is one. It has no separate parts and no degrees, no kinds nor levels, no divergencies, no distinctions. It is like itself, unchanged throughout. It never alters with a person or a circumstance. It is the heart of God and also his Son. Love's meaning is obscure to anyone who thinks that love can change. He does not see that changing love must be impossible, and thus he thinks he can love at times and hate at times. He also thinks that love can be bestowed on one and yet remain itself, although it is withheld from others. To believe that things of love is not to understand. To believe these things of love is not to understand it. If it could make such distinctions, it would have to judge between the righteous and the sinner and to perceive the Son of God in separate parts. Love cannot judge. As it is one itself, it looks on all things as one. Its meaning lies in oneness, and it must elude the mind that thinks of it as partial or in part. There is no love but God's, and all of love is his. There is no other principle that rules where love is not. Love is a law without an opposite. Its wholeness is the power holding everything as one. The link between the Father and Son, which holds them both forever as the same. No course whose purpose is to teach you to remember what you really are could fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. Love's meaning is your own and shared by God himself. For what you are is what he is. There is no love but his, and what he is everything there is. There is no limit placed upon himself, and so you are unlimited as well. No law the world obeys can help you grasp love's meaning. What the world believes was made to what the world believes was made to hide love's meaning and to keep it dark and secret. There is not one principle the world upholds but violates the truth of what love is and what you are as well. Seek not within the world to find yourself. Love is not found in darkness and in death. Yet it is perfectly apparent to the eyes that see and ears that hear love's voice. Today we practice making free your mind of all the laws you think you must obey, of all the limits under which you live, and all the changes that you think are part of human destiny. Today we make the largest single step this course requests in your advance toward its established goal. You achieve the faintest glimmering of what love means today. You have advanced in distance without measure and in time beyond the count of years to your release. Let us together then be glad to give some time to God today and understand there is no better use for time than this. For 15 minutes twice today, escape from every law in which you now believe. Open your mind and rest. The world that seems to hold you prisoner can be escaped by anyone who does not hold it dear. Withdraw all value you have placed upon its meager offerings and senseless gifts, and let the gift of God replace them. Call to your Father, certain that his voice will answer. He himself has promised this, and he himself will place a spark of truth within your mind wherever you give up a false belief, a dark illusion that your own reality and what love means. He will shine through your idle thoughts today and help you understand the truth of love. In loving gentleness, he will abide with you as you allow his voice to teach love's meaning to your clean and open mind. And he will bless the lesson with his love. Today, the legion of the future years of waiting for salvation disappear before the timelessness of what you learn. Let us give thanks today that we are spared a future like the past. Today we leave the past behind us, never more to be remembered, and we raise our eyes upon a different present, where a future dawns unlike the past in every attribute. The world in infancy is newly born, and we will watch it grow in health and strength, to shed its blessing upon all who come to learn, to cast aside the world they thought they was made in hate to be love's enemy. Now they are all made free, along with us. Now are they all brothers in God's love. We will remember them throughout the day because we cannot leave a part of us outside our love if we would know ourselves. At least 3 times an hour, think of one who makes the journey with you and who came to learn what you must learn. And as he comes to mind, give him this message from yourself. I bless you, brother, with the love of God, which I would share with you, for I would learn the joyous lesson that there is no love but God's, and yours and mine and everyone's. I was hosting a knowing retreat in Las Vegas last year. And I had a few couples in the room. And I think it was day 2 of the retreat. And I asked each one to write down their definition of love. And what was remarkable to me was that not only was every couple's definition different from the other couple, but within the couple, the husband and wife had a different definition from each other. And this is what's so remarkable, is that if I say I love you to someone, they actually don't hear what I mean. They're hearing it through their own definition, through their own lens. Again, remember we talked at the beginning about how the past can actually color our own perception of love and our own understanding of love. Yesterday, we actually talked about the importance of the definition of words. And I shared how about 2 years ago, I was starting to just feel like the thought of marriage, I wanted to I felt like I was suffocating because I just had such a poor experience in my previous marriage and it was so harmful. And so, okay, how do I look at marriage now? And this is where we have to, we have to, and I say have to in the best way that we get to learn from the ultimate creator who created the concepts of love, of marriage, of unity, of oneness. And we get to learn from him to teach us, hey, what did you mean by marriage? What is your vision? What do you have in mind for love? What do you have in mind for real unity as a family unit? You know, y'all, we are living in such a broken world in so many ways. You know, we're living in a place where when we encounter somebody, we're not really encountering them. We're encountering them plus all of their previous experiences that are weighing and shedding light and even changing the fabric of the lens through which they see the world, so that if I say something, it's distorted instantly from what I intended. And here's the thing, the same goes for me. Everything I say, everything I think is clouded and weighed and influenced by a set of a whole slew of experiences and my own definitions of words. And so when we're trying to do relationship, when we're trying to even do relationship in work, one of my clients is a coach, an executive coach, and a therapist. And together he's able to work closely with helping people understand their inner architecture and then how that comes forth in their behavior. Such incredibly important work. But he's working with C-suite executives because none of us and none of them were taught how to do relationships. So if they have a problem at home, they bring that problem to work and we can't help it. Even if we suppress it, it's still there. And so the way that we engage with each other is so often a mirror for us of what's going on inside of us. And so before we can, it really is that concept of take the log out of your eye before we go and help somebody else with the speck in their own. It's actually a safer bet to assume I am blind right now. I cannot see what's happening. And that's a really hard position to be in. Frankly, it's easier. You know, there's an element where it's easier to not be in relationship with people because then we could just to go on our merry way and we can do a whole lot of self-improvement, a whole lot of work on ourselves, and we feel pretty impervious to others until someone else gets intimate with us. And then maybe they start seeing things. And it's easier to be alone in that regard. If we're going to buttress up against someone that might actually speak the truth to us, it's going to feel hellish and more horrible than it is to be alone. And so this concept of there's no love but God's. I feel so convicted over this. Yesterday, we talked about how if we're going to really, truly forgive, we can't choose. Forgiveness doesn't choose who it forgives. It is simply that, the state of forgiveness. Same goes with love. That is the state. It's like the definition of God is love, and the definition of love is God. It's this interchanging being and essence of unfailing, unaltering presence of being that is constant and always true from an internal state. And as I was reading, I stumbled over my words because I just had this thought. The heart posture is love always, and it does not change per person, but the manifestation of it is what does change. And I think that I can get so caught up on what the manifestation should look like rather than really first making sure that I've got that heart posture right. Because I can tell, like, again, something came up last night for me between me and my darling, and I was so quick to move out of love. You know, it was like I actually lasted in love for a decent amount of time, and I was proud of it. I was like, man, look at me sitting in love. And then immediately, right after I got kind of like, oh, I'm doing so well. And then almost immediately I moved out of love. And man, it's like, okay, let's actually sit with that for me and my sake, not because of what our darlings do, not because of what our kids do, but what is this revealing in me? What needs to be purified? This concept of purification, when a diamond or most anything goes into the fire, there's a purification process where what is old actually needs to die off. The dead burns first. And then it actually takes a lot longer for anything that is healthy and ripe, and like the fresh wood is actually harder to burn. It takes a lot longer. Rather, if it's dead and wasted, it just almost immediately gets dried up. And so these moments of conflict are these beautiful fire moments to allow for the dross to rise to the surface, to see what's there, skim it away, do away with it, and further purify the internal state, the internal soul of you and me. When we talk about these intelligences, each intelligence holds data, but that does not mean the data is true. And this is so incredibly important that we realize that just because our emotional intelligence is something's coming forth, it does not automatically mean that is the end all be all. That's actually the danger of when you start kind of paying attention to some of these intelligences. Things are coming up for us, and we're remembering things because there's data stored literally in our tissue where it comes out and we remember it. And it's like, oh man, I didn't realize, like somebody who remembers the trauma that they've been suppressing for years. Because maybe right now they finally feel safe, and they've actually been cultivating the tools to be able to handle that. Our body will release memories when it feels like we're safe enough for it to handle it, which is wild. A friend of mine, 27 years old, remembered in therapy, after doing therapy for 3 years, she remembered that she was molested by her father at 9 years old. She had suppressed that for decades, and all of a sudden in therapy, she was doing a particular type of therapy that actually you to go back and just do. It was almost like memory work. And this memory just came to mind, and instantly she was just like, I mean, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. It's almost like you're being assaulted by a memory. But it's because your body is almost like unlocking it. Like, okay, you know now, you've got the tools, you can handle this. And it was devastating. So this whole element of doing the work to cultivate our intelligences is predicated on a foundation, and we get to choose what that foundation is. Because if I choose the foundation of love, what that means is that every memory, every recollection, everything that comes out, I want to, for myself and for others, I want, and I choose love to be the basis upon which I engage with others. There's another part that really stood out to me here. Seek not within the world to find yourself. Love is not found in darkness and in death. Yet it is perfectly apparent to the eyes that see and the ears that hear love's voice. Today we practice making your mind free of all the laws you think you must obey, of all the limits under which you live, and all the changes that you think are part of human destiny. Y'all, this is so wild. I want us to think about this question. Whose voice has the microphone in our mind? Whose voice has the greatest say and the greatest weight? Whose voice is ushering in the source of truth? Where are we sourcing our joy, our meaning, our worth, our truth? Where are we sourcing that? And are we sourcing it? Are we the created being? Are we sourcing it from another created being? Or are we sourcing it from the creator? And that's so critically important, because if we're laterally sourcing to a person, place, or thing, even to a memory, to a moment in the past where we're actually defining our identity from, I was, well, who are you? Well, this isn't me, but well, I'm a widow. My husband was killed, or, well, I'm a soldier. I fought in Vietnam. I'm a father. I'm a CEO. Every time we're outsourcing our identity to something lateral and having that define our worth and meaning, well, now we're just that much more vulnerable in some ways. It's like we're open to attack the more we're sourcing joy, worth, meaning, truth from something external in a lateral perspective. So this question of if I'm sourced literally from God, and God is in me, that is the Latin root of intuition, is intuere, to be taught from within. If God is not just out there, up there, but in here, now he is my teacher, and man, you can't get any closer than that. Now the second I get activated, triggered, annoyed, frustrated by somebody out there, I immediately can be taught from within. I don't have to go into my closet and pray and say, God, what do I do? He can tell me right then and there in that moment. Is he the voice of love, of truth, of our worth, of our meaning? Or are we outsourcing it to somebody else? Now we're internally sourced forever, always. We can take joy, happiness, peace with us at all times. This concept of going into the closet and locking the door is actually a lot of what I've witnessed in religious settings, where it's like, let me withdraw from the external because I need to go make sure that I'm good, or that I'm keeping myself right, rather than having that ongoing switch effectively turned on within us that I bring the presence of God with me. I don't need to go retreat and it's like drawing from a well and take that little bucket of water with me, and then I'm leaving the well, and then I'm going and engaging with people. Okay, now I'm running empty. Let me go back and source again. No, I'm an ever living source of life, which is the exact promise and inheritance of anyone who chooses to have God be their source. This is the very truth, is that we now have this ever-living spring and well of life within us at all times, free for access. But here's the thing, is that if it's really, there's this concept of you shall know a tree by its fruit. So if we're having good fruit, then that wellspring, we're probably drawing from that wellspring within. But man, if our love is changeable, if our forgiveness is changeable, it really is holding up a mirror for us of, well, where am I sourcing life? Where am I sourcing joy? And we can have that source within us, but it doesn't always mean that we're going there. All of us have access to that. And still we can outsource from different places. There's one last section that I just want to remind us of. Call to your Father, certain that his voice will answer. He himself has promised this. He himself will place a spark of truth within your mind wherever you give up a false belief, a dark illusion of your own reality and what love means. He will shine through your idle thoughts today and help you understand the truth of love. In loving gentleness, he will abide with you as you allow his voice to teach love's meaning to your clean and open mind. So y'all, it's like an exchange. It's like we're uprooting lies, and then in its place is truth. Uprooting lies, in its place is truth. And forgiveness helps with the uprooting, because a lot of times the lie actually requires forgiveness. So for example, if we were really hurt by somebody when we were kids, we might need to forgive that person. And in so doing, that narrative about them or about the world is exchanged for the truth. Most of the time, I think about I think about these unprocessed experiences and unprocessed emotions as bricks that build up over time. So like for each bit of unprocessed pain, a little bit of water mixes with a little bit of clay and a brick forms. But on the brick is inscribed a narrative. And it's a lie so often, or just a truth distorted. And so this past experience, however painful it was, has a narrative and a part, and it's now a part of our belief system. So if we want to do away with that rock or that brick and dismantle it, well, now this little spark of truth with it can be placed in our mind, in our heart, and our soul whenever we give up that false belief, whenever we allow for the brick to be dismantled. But it takes and is predicated on love, because love, doing the healing work, is so incredibly powerful. So I'm going to jump here in the chat. Good morning. I'm so glad to be with you all. Robline, I just saw you say my mother passed away. I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't see that earlier. Oh my gosh. I just saw your name and I was so happy to see that. Wow. How are you doing? How are you doing? That's so hard. AM8, good morning. Play-Doh, D's. Oh man. Sammy, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see you. Sammy is a friend of the Knowing Show. He actually joined, gosh, Sammy, I think it was probably 3 months ago you joined for the first time. And it happened to be the second anniversary of the date of his accident. And he's been diagnosed with being a C2 quadriplegic. And so, Sammy, we're with you and we love you so, so, so much. And I'm so glad you're here. Brett, hello from the UK. Rob Vine says, that's right. Forgiveness is the key to life. NW, good morning. Truth Seeker, hello. Jace Clark, good morning. Nick, I'm glad you're here. Ashy, good morning. Jet Black, which book? This was A Course in Miracles. That we were reading earlier. Lemon, good morning. Deuces, good morning. Good to see you. Raj, good morning. Mark, hello. Macon, Papa, Tiger, good morning. Michelle, good morning. Green Thumb. Raj, good morning. The Cold Breeze. Wormhole, good morning. Pedia. Sammy will be able to message in the next, we're in the middle of transferring him now, and he really wants to say hi. Well, I'm here now. I was reading earlier, but okay. Hunter Blackwell, good morning. Faye, good morning. Natalie, good morning. Jacob, quiet. I'm just reading through the chat. Big Bori, good morning. James, Ovid, good morning. Chi. Amazo, good morning. One Star Rising, Barry. Captive America, good morning. Anthony. Dave White, good morning. James, have you read Gottman or Schnark on relationships? You've not shared much. Oh, it's funny. I have not, but today wasn't on relationships. So, but I'd love to read them. Good morning, KGS. Good morning. Emilio, good morning. I'm glad you're here. Jeremy, good morning. This is an interesting chat this morning. Born Again Aaron, good morning. Junior Michael. Yvonne, good morning. Codex, good morning. Di Guish, Guish, good morning. All right. For those of you who have been in the chat and honestly have not been contributing value or kindness, I'm just going to go ahead and block you guys. The chat really is a place that is meaningful. You know, it's a meaningful place for me and for those who have been consistently showing up to the chat. We have honestly a place here that's really, it's precious to me. I'll use that verbiage. And there's not much that's precious to me. And so for those reasons, Dave White, I'm going to go ahead and block you here. And we'll just kind of keep going through and blocking folks who are not adding value. Let's see. The cold breeze. We will say goodbye to you, my friend. You all are more than welcome to stay on here, but we're just not going to let you talk anymore because you ain't being kind. Good morning, Nin Gish. Jeremy says that piece really is so real. Peace helps us focus. What a good, honestly, that's so true. Oh my gosh. The only two hip, good morning. Anthony. Steve, good morning. I'm glad to see you. Love springs eternal. I love that. Okay. Jeremy, the personal walk really is amazing. If you can open a pinch, the choice is yours. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm going to stay on here an extra minute and do some cleanup, just removing folks who need to be removed, because I don't want you all hanging out while I'm doing the dirty work here of blocking people. So we'll go ahead and kind of call it here. I am going to do that. So thank you all so much for joining this morning. If you all want to hang out and ask any questions and chat for a little bit, please do. I'm going to just take some time and block people. Very fun. But that's what I'm actually going to do this morning. You know, here's the thing, as the algorithm starts expanding this show to more people, the trolls really do come out of the woodwork. And so it is, again, this show is precious to me. The message is precious. The people are precious who get on here. And the reason why the chat really matters is because it facilitates a place where people have shared about death. People have shared about things that they're literally processing and grieving over. And that to me is sacred. The process of grief is something to be handled with such care. And so having people come into the chat and really bring disruption or be crude or unkind, it brings the dilution to the entire process that it's like, it's not worth it to let people kind of stay where they're bringing corruption in that way. So I am going to mind, body of human. I said, I love that you say, don't block them. You're just giving them exactly what they want. Can we just focus on the positive? It's interesting. I think that there is something where it's hard to focus when I think so. This is actually interesting. I'd love to hear y'all's perspective. And I'm also paying attention to the fact that so a lot of my regular folks aren't on here. But I've actually been asked to block people because it's really distracting when people are in the chat and they're being open or vulnerable. And then people are coming in and bringing a lot of distraction. I completely agree that it's good to love people. And I think that that's actually really important that we can do that in love. That's why we're talking about the internal state of ourselves. That should be love, but it doesn't mean that the action, we don't exhibit justice and we don't take action to protect ourselves and protect our people. Like, it's kind of like Mama Bear comes out when I see the trolls, because I'm like, oh, it's not just that they're messing with me, they're messing with the integrity and the security of the chat, where people can come and really open up and find encouragement. And so that's I think the kind of toss up, And so one thing that I've thought about doing, and I've been considering this for a little while, is just making it where if you comment, you have to like, I don't know, be a member of the community, and it's like 99 cents a month or something. So now there's more buy-in, and the people who chat really are adding value, but also not just adding value, but able to receive from each other. I think that that's the most meaningful thing, where you've got people who can really add love to each other and have that aspect. Nicole, don't forget we too have the power to block them if we choose. That's a good point. So like, you all can jump in and block as well. That's a good point. Protect from what? I think protecting, here's the thing that's interesting. When it comes to our minds, we can give energy to a thought by simply paying attention to it. And we can thus remove energy from something by removing our attention from it. And it has been a real practice of mine to simply not engage a thought. And so if I'm seeing multiple comments, for me, it's kind of akin to that. Don't even engage the comment. Don't even engage the thought. And so it's easier to just remove it altogether and just like, let's just it goes back to our lesson today, where it says, effectively, if we have a clean, open mind, that's where we can receive what God has to say. But if we've got a whole lot of crap from other people in there, it's a lot harder to receive the truth. So there's something about cleaning the slate mentally, emotionally, inside us, but also kind of cleaning the slate here on the chat to make sure that the truth is what we can focus on. We don't have to weed through crap to get to the truth. And I think that that's it. I think that that's it, is, can we be brave enough to remove excess, to trim the fat, to remove what is unhealthy or not wholesome from our lives, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to say, hello, sorry, I'm going to block you. It is uncomfortable to say, you know what, I'm going to stop following that social media channel. It's uncomfortable to eliminate that which is not good for us. It's actually more comfortable to just kind of let things go as they are, to not say anything. Here's actually, speaking of this, I love how applicable this is. Just yesterday on the show, actually, we were playing trivia last night. It was so much fun. Just yesterday, I was reminded of this quote by Harry Truman. I never did give them hell. I just told the truth, and they thought it was hell. Y'all, so much of what people get offended by is the truth. And so to eliminate people from being offended, it's like, well, let me just never say the truth. Let me just not speak it. Let me just be quiet and put my head down. But is that actually the thing that's most loving? Is that really the thing that actually is our responsibility? At what point is it our responsibility to speak the truth? Which is so such an interesting question. RK, good morning. Zers, DG, good morning. X2, good morning. Ryan, Aloft, good morning. We were already chatting, but good morning. Jeremy, I love you. If your mind understands what she says, it does make sense. That's so funny. Matt, good morning. Weak people get offended. Mind, body of human. It's so interesting. You're absolutely right. The stupidity won't stop. We have to keep our mind where we at and how immature people are. It's just, I think that so much of it is, what do I want to focus on? I was out for a walk yesterday and I was just, or running. I was running through my little neighborhood. And I was just reminded in that moment that this whole setting, everything around me can transform in an instant if I choose to look for the beauty. And suddenly I was just in this wonderful literal corner of the world going on this run, and we get to transform that which we see and experience and know to be a thing of beauty, powered by love, rooted in love, transcended into something other than what we're experiencing right now. That's the power of thought. That is the power of the mind and the lens through which we decide to view the world. That's the power that love can have, is that it really can transform what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. And in that process is also the decision to move away from that which is impure and that which is unhealthy. So, I think that that's actually that's a really, really beautiful point for what you were just saying, is like, that's always going to be around us. And so just the question is, how will we respond? God being love, is that what we're going to fill our mind with and fill our soul with at a deeper level? Wendy, I'm so glad you're here. I was hoping you would come back. People can say whatever to me. I choose who I give energy to, Matt says. That's so, so, so good. Aloft, emotional love is not real love. We were just talking about love. I don't know if you were there, but we were talking all about how, like, effectively God is the definition of love in so many ways. And the way that we currently understand love it's so limited. It's so small compared to just how big and all-encompassing is the love of God. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. I will be back online this afternoon at, let's see, I have to check my calendar. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you all then. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Knowing Show. I'll see you tonight. Bye.